I chased an early retirement goal for more than 2 decades, and even though that goal helped me stay disciplined with my savings and investing, early retirement was the wrong goal. In this video, I'll share 3 alternative financial and career goals that in hindsight I think would have been much better than an early retirement goal. Hi, I'm Craig from retirebeforedad.com, and my website name Retire Before Dad stems back to a goal I set in 2003 when my dad retired from his 35-year teaching career. He was 56 at the time, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could try to retire at age 55 and sort of beat him at retirement? The average retirement age in America is about 63, so I considered this an early retirement goal for the last 20 years. I had just returned from a 14-month backpacking trip to Asia and Latin America, and I was out of travel money. I was 27, broke, and living with my parents. But I was ready to restart my IT career and start a family and sort of settle down. So early retirement appealed to me in 2 different ways. First, I wanted to travel full time again. So I thought the best way to do that would be to retire early and just travel in retirement. The second reason it appealed to me was because I had a government IT job and I just didn't like it. So I saw early retirement as a way to escape. But I knew my IT career would be lucrative, so it made sense for me to make a decent amount of money, put that money towards stocks and real estate, to build an investment portfolio that would ultimately fund my early retirement. This seemed like a safe and solid plan at the time. Looking back, I was naive to think that a career that I knew I wasn't going to like was still the best path forward, but I thought it was a path of least resistance because that's where I could make money, save, and invest. But I had these 2 limiting beliefs that were part of the problem. First, I didn't think a career and enjoyment were compatible. I just saw work as an exchange for time for money. I didn't see the possibility to genuinely enjoy what I do, and that maybe stems back to my childhood. I didn't have a lot of adults in my life who really loved what they did. They were all sort of chasing that retirement dream as well. So my first thought was to plan an exit. The second limiting belief is I thought that my education and skill set had an income ceiling, which of course it didn't, but that was just my belief at the time. I didn't have a graduate degree. I only had an undergraduate degree. I didn't have a lot of ambition either. So I figured a steady paycheck where I could earn decent money, not spend that much money, and invest the surplus was really my path to financial independence and early retirement. I was wrong on both of these beliefs, and that led to a 20-year mediocre career in IT. Since I didn't like my career, the only thing motivating me was money, and in hindsight, that was really an unhealthy situation. So that leads us to our first alternative goal to early retirement, and that is to find a career from which you don't want to retire. A lot of us tend to think that wherever we start our career is where we build our skill set in our profession, and that leads to really the most possible money that we can make, and so we stick with it. Unfortunately, sometimes we also increase our lifestyle with that income, and we kind of lock ourselves into a career that we don't like. Wherever you start your career doesn't mean you have to end it there. So if you're looking to retire early and that's on your mind, then maybe it's because you didn't choose the right career. And the younger you are, really the easier it is to switch careers, but that doesn't mean older people in their 50s or 60s can't pivot from where their career is or change things up. The problem is we just get complacent in our careers and we think that there's no escape. Think about, is it really the retirement you want, or do you just want to escape a career? If you're older and you have more substantial wealth, you may be interested in the second early retirement alternative goal, and that is accelerated retirement or semi-retirement. And accelerated retirement is when you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe you have 5 or 7 years left, but your retirement is in sight. You may be able to bump up that retirement date or transition to a semi-retirement state where you might have 1 foot out the door. Let's say you have a decent amount of savings, but it's not enough, and you have this 5 years left in your career to really be able to retire, but you can't bear the thought of sticking with that job for another 5 or 7 years. This is when you might want to do some calculations to really look deep into your retirement plan to see if you might have a little bit of wiggle room with that retirement date. Now, if you're 1 or 2 years away from retiring from a job you hate, it might be worth sticking with that job to get the financial or benefit incentives to stay. But we're talking about 5 to 7 years. There definitely could be some opportunities to find something else to do. So it starts with knowing how much you need to retire. Then maybe you can earn a lower salary doing work you love that covers most of your expenses, or possibly starting a passion business where you're working on something every day that makes you happy, that brings you fulfillment, and it's also an opportunity to maybe make some money. You might also be able to reduce your work hours, and I see a lot of near retirees doing this. Maybe they don't hate their career, but they sure would like fewer hours, and so there might be opportunities to work less, earn a little bit less, and go into a sort of a semi-retirement phase where you've got one foot out the door. If you're nearing retirement and you're looking to accelerate your retirement date or bump it up, maybe there's some spending that could be reduced or some lifestyle changes that could lower your annual expenditures, which would then bring that retirement date even closer. So an accelerated retirement or semi-retirement is really more of an option for people that have been in their careers for a while, but are starting to feel that pressure to just not want to be doing that work anymore, and finding another way to earn late in their career that brings them more fulfillment. Careers can really wear on us, especially if you've been working in the same career for a long time. I think older Americans have a lot more options at their fingertips with different types of part-time jobs and gigs and online businesses with Shopify and video content and social media. There's all kinds of opportunities out there, but you have to go look for it and you have to experiment a little bit before you can make that transition to a semi-retirement or a full-time gig that you just really love compared to the way you spent the first couple decades of your career. So if you're trying to determine, where you are with your financial plan, spreadsheets can help, but I recommend DIY retirement planning products like Boldin and ProjectionLab. These will help you solidify your financial plan and figure out how much money you need to retire or how much you're going to need down the line. So don't just go into a retirement decision blind. Use data from your personal finances and your investment accounts to help you make a decision, and there are tools out there that can help you do that. If you're someone who likes numbers and likes firm and concrete milestones, then the third retirement goal alternative might be for you, and that is financial independence. So financial independence is when you have enough wealth or passive income to cover your annual expenses indefinitely. When you've reached financial independence, work is optional. Financial independence gives you the confidence to make bold decisions like find a new career or quit your job and try something new. Financial independence also gives you the opportunity to maybe take larger risks with your investments or your career. Now, there are 3 ways to determine your financial independence number. The first is to generate enough passive income from interest, stock dividends, real estate, maybe some alternative assets. Generating enough income from those kinds of investments, that's the dream of just living off interest if you have enough money in the bank. The problem is it takes a long time to get to that point unless you're really earning a lot of money. The second way to calculate your financial independence number is to take a look at your annual expenses, and when you find that number, multiply it by 25. Having 25 times your annual expenses in invested assets is really the gold standard or rule of thumb for achieving financial independence. Let's say you have a $100,000 annual budget, and you multiply that by 25, so your financial independence number would be $2.5 million. Now, this is customizable to your situation, but the basic math is that you would withdraw about 4% of your invested assets to help pay for your living expenses. Studies have shown that that 4% number is a fairly safe and conservative withdrawal rate from your assets. So you're essentially drawing down your assets, and that should last another 30 years. Now, if you have a planned retirement that's longer than 30 years, you might want to decrease that amount or continue to earn money in another way. The third way to calculate your financial independence number is a combination of the two. You might have some passive income and a substantial amount of retirement invested assets, and really the combination of those two is another way to reach that financial independence number. And that's how I reached financial independence in February of 2021. If you aim for passive income model for financial independence, that's going to be a little more stable because you're not drawing down assets, but it's also going to take longer to build that passive income so that you can live off that money. So a lot of people choose the other option, which is to draw down the retirement assets at about 4% to 5% and use that money for living expenses. By doing that, you can retire or hit that financial independence number a little bit sooner. And this is a better goal than trying to just retire early. And financial independence is a more concrete goal because you're putting a number to what you need for your living expenses, whereas just saying you're going to retire early doesn't really accomplish that unless you've got a plan to back it up. Now, if you're using the method 2 where you're just building up your invested assets, you are at risk for market fluctuations. But for the most part, if you hit that 25x number and you spend reasonably in that 4 to 5% range, you're going to have enough money to do what you want in retirement. Now, if you want to keep working, that's fine too. A lot of people really enjoy earning, but may not enjoy earning the way they've earned for their whole career. So that financial independence number, when I hit it, it helped me have the confidence to leave a career that I wasn't crazy about. I mean, I had a good career. I worked with great people, and I did accomplish some substantial achievements in my career, but it just wasn't where my passion was. My passion was in my side business, and hitting that financial independence number and knowing the math behind it gave me the confidence to leave that career and focus on being a business owner and an online content creator. And 2 years into that experiment, I couldn't be happier. I really enjoy helping people online and writing to my subscribers on my newsletter. So I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. And the funny thing is, when you find a career that you love, the desire to retire early goes away. So at this point, I don't care about my age 55 retirement goal anymore because I found a career I genuinely love, and I'll easily be working past age 55 because I just enjoy what I'm doing so much. And my kids still need to go to college. I'll be happy to be working to have some income while my kids are going to college and I'm paying for that. So there are benefits to working past an early retirement date. And if you love what you do, it may not feel like work. Which brings me back to the title of this video. Early retirement was the wrong goal for me. At 27, I should have been looking harder for a career that excited me instead of just going with the old career I knew that paid well. I had a lot of wiggle room to take risk. I was living with my parents. I could have gone looking for a more fulfilling career, one that got me excited to wake up every day. Maybe I could have found a career in travel or found a startup that was exciting to work for. But instead, I just fell back on the skills I learned in my first job, which paid well. But I think part of not being excited about that career held me back from overachieving in my career. I was happy to just earn a paycheck and sock away as much of that as possible to build that passive income and retirement savings. But in hindsight, I think if I had been more excited about my career, I would have had a chance to make even more money and to really excel at what I do. Because when you're excited about something and you really enjoy it, you're more likely to earn more money from that field. Instead, I stayed in a career that I didn't really like, and it dampened my ambition. So if you're on YouTube clicking early retirement thumbnails, maybe you just don't like your career and should look for something different. There are other options out there. It's definitely worth exploring, and you might not find something immediately, or it might take a few iterations of switching jobs or careers, but it's worth looking so that you're not unhappy in your career. If you've built substantial wealth and you only have a few years left, you can still look for semi-retirement options. You can look for a different type of career, or maybe straddle your old career and a new career or a side business. But if there's more than just a few years left in your career that you really don't like, life is about the journey and not the destination. Don't just be thinking about that retirement goal like I was for all those years. Try to enjoy the ride. And that's part of what happened. Was midway through this retirement goal, I started blogging and I started creating online content. I got really excited about it and I started earning money from it. And thankfully, I've been able to quit my job and do this full time. It's not that I hated my job. I worked with great people. I did great work, but I really liked this other thing better. So saving and investing and making somewhat smart decisions along the way and not taking on too much debt or sending my kids to private school, those kinds of things might have derailed my opportunity to work on a side business like this. So if you've made financial decisions that are holding you back, it may take a few years to reverse some of those if you're really dedicated to finding something new. It's also important to measure your progress. Some people use spreadsheets. I prefer these DIY planning tools where you input your information and it spits out a long-term plan, giving you the intelligence you need to make decisions on your career and your retirement. If you really do need to work a lot longer, then you need to know that. But if you're at a point where maybe you could cut back on the work or experiment with other income sources, these DIY planning tools can help you do that and weigh the risks and the benefits of changing things up. And finally, if you're a numbers person and you really like those significant financial milestones, $1 million, $2 million, and those goals keep you disciplined to rein in your spending, avoid big financial mistakes like overbuying on a car or overbuying on a house or borrowing too much money. If those goals can keep you in line and keep you focused on saving your money and investing it for income and growth, then by all means, set those financial goals and go for it. But measure your progress along the way so that you know where you are and you know how it fits into a broader DIY retirement. That's all for this video. I'm Craig from retirebeforedad.com. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.